Welcome back to First and Gold. I'm your host, Sam Gold. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And you know what? Enjoy those Thanksgiving and Black Friday games, because after that, this 1 o'clock slate is a doozy. But listen, this is what we're here for. Every single week, we're going to predict every game from week 13 of the 2025 season. Now, let's start with Packers-Lions. And if anybody watching doesn't know the tradition, the Lions host the 1 o'clock game. The Cowboys host the 4 o'clock game on every single Thanksgiving. So yes, we're starting with this game. And listen, the Lions just came off of an electric offensive performance. The Packers just came off of an electric defensive performance. Both teams trying to get at least a wild card spot, but both teams are still pretty much vying for the division. It's very close. So this is important. And I do think that for the Packers side, first and foremost, this is a defense that you can finally take advantage of in some aspects, especially if you get Josh Jacobs back. But I think all eyes right now are really on Jordan Love and the fact that he's not necessarily played bad, but I think people were really looking for him to take another step up in his career. And right now he's kind of just been playing like a slightly above average quarterback. So on a big stage, division opponent, an away game against a defense you could do some stuff against, this is a big moment for him and a big turning point this season. But on the flip side, for the Lions, obviously Jahmyr Gibbs just came off of a ginormous game. And I do think that the Packers defense is not going to do what the Giants defense did, not even close. And I think that the Lions offense is going to simmer down a little bit. And in order for the Packers to win this game for their defense, they really need to get pressure on Jared Goff, because that is when the Lions don't thrive the most. And I really do think I have a lot of confidence in the Packers offense. But right now, it is hard to pick against the Lions when you know that Jahmyr Gibbs can do something like that. Even if it's one or two big plays in this game, I think that can make all the difference. So the margins are going to be so close. These teams are both very good, but I am picking the Lions to squeak out a win 23-20. Okay, this one's a big one. Chiefs, Cowboys, 4 o'clock on Thanksgiving. This is tough because both teams had big wins this past Sunday, but the margin of error for losing games the rest of the season is still so thin. So the intensity of this game is going to be huge. I think it's probably going to end up possibly being the highest viewed regular season game of all time in terms of ratings. Not only because it's a Cowboys Thanksgiving game, but now the Chiefs are involved. So there's going to be a lot of eyes watching both of these teams. I think the big story of this game, of course, are both offenses. Now, the Chiefs have certainly struggled the last few weeks offensively, especially early in games. And it's not necessarily moving the ball down the field, but if it's a lot of penalties, it's the turnovers, it's the dumb mistakes. So what the Chiefs did last week is show that when it absolutely needs to be done, they were able to get the job done. And I was really worried about their mentality this season and the staleness and the complacency. But if they can carry some momentum from that huge overtime win against the Colts into Dallas against a defense that has struggled the majority of the season, I'm looking for Mahomes to finally have another big game this year. You know, I do think that this has potential to be a big shootout. So I am going to stick with the Chiefs in this one in desperation mode to just squeak it out 30-27. All right, and then a game where I understand in August why this was going to be hyped up as a good Thanksgiving night game. Now, it still actually might be decent because it's Bengals-Ravens, and it looks like Joe Burrow will be making his return for this game. So it will most likely be Burrow versus Lamar. Not bad. And you know what? It might actually be closer than you think, because I said this last episode. Lamar right now, and I don't fully blame him because he's still dealing with a little bit of his injury lingering. He's just not been that great right now. And he's been playing some pretty non-formidable opponents. And I actually do think this is another one because the Bengals defense is horrible. So they're at home. It's a primetime game. Maybe this is where they can kind of boost off into being that, elusive offense that they were for so much of last season and the season before that. And I do think that Joe Burrow at least gives the Bengals a chance to make this fun. So even though I'm not too high on the Ravens right now, I am going to pick them to win this game and stay in first place in their own division by a score of 34-24. All right, and then this one should be a fun one. Bears at Eagles. Black Friday football at 3 p.m. We've had a couple of these games the last couple seasons. If the Eagles didn't blow the game against the Cowboys just a few days ago, I do think that this was kind of a potential sleepwalking game for them, but they're going to be pissed off. And even though there were a lot of embarrassing elements to their loss against the Cowboys that maybe really expose some red flags in terms of their consistency quarter in, quarter out during these games, they are the type of team where I still do trust them to pull it together when they need to the most and rely on their best players, especially defensively. I think they have a big bounce back here against the Bears offensive line, which has been decent this year, but I think they could struggle in this one. I mean, look, if the Bears really want to make a statement, go into Philly at 8-3 and win this game with Ben Johnson putting out one of their best offensive game plans possibly, that would be huge. But I am going to stick with the Eagles as still one of the best teams in the NFC to win this game 24-17. All right, you guys ready for these 1 o'clock games? Because here we go. Let's start with the one good one. Because this does actually have a lot of implications. Texans at Colts. Now, the Texans, we said this last episode, their defense has been absolutely phenomenal, and they've really pulled themselves from the dead this season at 6-5. And they're like a game or two out right now of really making a push for this division. They get to play the Colts twice this season. This is one of the big matchups in Indianapolis. So is CJ Stroud coming back? Most likely. Do I think it really makes that much of a difference right now? Maybe, but overall, I'm looking at both of these defenses trying to dominate the other offensive lines. And right now, the Colts just have the better offensive line than the Texans do. So even though I really love the Texans defense, I think that Daniel Jones is most likely still going to have enough in the arsenal to make a few more plays than the Texans are able to against the Colts defense. So man, it's really tough. I mean, if the Texans win this game, that's huge, but I am still going to stick with the Colts to win this game 24-21. All right, here we go. Saints at Dolphins. Tyler Shuck versus Tua. And you know what? The Dolphins aren't dead. I mean, the Dolphins actually kind of have a pretty easy schedule coming up. And they could start here at home and start winning a few games. I mean, in 2021, I believe, they started 1-7 and then ended 9-8, and they were close. So I don't know what happens. But listen, I mean, who cares at the end of the day? I mean, who truly cares, guys? I mean, if you're taking, unless you're a Dolphins or Saints fan, if you're watching this game in full, find some help, please. Please, just do it. I checked the games. It's $29 on SeatGeek. Maybe go watch the game. I don't know. But I'm picking the Dolphins to win this game in a pretty ugly one, 27-19. All right, guys. Who's ready for Kirk Cousins to go to MetLife? Because I know I'm not. Jets, Falcons. Did this game end 13-8 2 years ago? I believe that was the final score. You know what? Let's pick it again. Let's pick the Falcons to win this one 13-8. Because that would be the most Jets thing ever to lose by that exact score 2 times in 3 years. So there you go. All right, the rematch of the 2023 upset from Week 6, 49ers at Browns. This is my lock of the week. You can say what you want about Shedeur Sanders. It is fun to see how he does in these games. If he does end up starting, of course, that's going to be another big storyline. But at the end of the day, this is actually not so much against Shedeur. It's more the fact that it's Kyle Shanahan in this playoff caliber team with a pretty solid roster, even with the injuries, going up against a rookie quarterback who was a late round pick. So it's pretty hard for me to believe that the 49ers, especially if they lost to the Panthers tonight, to blow this game. And I don't even think it's going to be close. I think the 49ers are going to win this game 31-14. All right, and this is another candidate for my lock of the week, even though one of these teams could be a playoff team, but it's Rams at Panthers. And I just think regardless of how good the Panthers are becoming this season, they're just completely outmatched. I mean, the Rams have the better coach. They have the better quarterback. They have the better lines on both sides. They have the better running game. They have the better weapons. They have the better everything. So it really is hard for me to believe that Bryce Young is going to go up and beat Sean McVay and their game plan while the Rams are trying to get the 1 seed. So once again, kind of like the 49ers game, I have full confidence in the Rams to win this. I like the Panthers, but yeah, I'm going to have the Rams winning this game 30-17. And then Jags at Titans. It really is depressing as a Chiefs fan to think that the Jags are going to be 8-4 and the Chiefs lost to this team, and the Jags are just coasting to like a decent record, and the Chiefs are scratching and clawing to try to get in the playoffs. Now, yes, it's the Chiefs' fault, but we're just going to watch the Jags barely win a game again because, you know, this really should be my upset of the week. I'm tempted, but I picked the Cardinals to beat the Jags. It didn't work out for me, so I'm not doing it. But listen, something could happen in this game. Cam Ward could have a great one, but I'm going to pick the Jags in such Jags fashion to barely beat the Titans 21-19. And then the Cardinals head to Tampa. I mean, are we trying to torture the fans this week? I don't know what's going on. And it's not even like I'm excited to watch the Bucs yet. Like, because they're just still injured. As a fantasy owner, I'm waiting for Bucky Irving to show some sign of life if he's coming back. And I do think genuinely the Bucs have to win this game if they want any chance of still making the playoffs, especially winning the division, depending on what the Panthers do. So the Bucs, even if it's ugly, they need to strap up, get it done against a weak Cardinals team and win this game 26-20. And then, man, another candidate for my lock of the week was Vikings at Seahawks. Al, ask yourself this. Are the Vikings ever going to host the Seahawks ever again? Because how many times do they have to go to Seattle and play this game? I feel like it's almost yearly they play in Seattle. It doesn't matter anyways. But JJ McCarthy, I just don't even see how he gets 80 yards against this defense. I just don't. I straight up don't. I don't know what they do. And I'm going to pick them to win it 41-6. All right, this one should be interesting. Bills at Steelers. Now, both teams are kind of in desperation mode right now, trying to get into the playoffs. I mean, the Bills are in the playoffs right now, but I do think which team has a better chance of bouncing back after a tough performance? It's going to be the Bills. I think at least they could take advantage of Steelers defense, which has gotten better, but still has their flaws for sure. I do still have confidence in the Bills trying to make a big push at this last stretch of the season. So I am going to pick the Bills to win this one in a close one, 24-20. All right, and then the Chargers host the Raiders. Now, the Chargers, could blow this because it's the Chargers, but the Raiders are genuinely just one of the worst teams I've seen in a long time. I don't even know how they beat the Patriots in week 1. It makes no sense. But Justin Herbert, there's no excuses this game. Even with your bad offensive line, your injured offensive line, you got to throw at least 250 yards and multiple touchdowns in this game because the Raiders defense is horrific. So I'm picking the Chargers to win this one 28-10. And then a game which would have been good if the Commanders would actually play like we thought they were going to this year. I know they've been injured, but Broncos at Commanders. Once again, it's like as a Chiefs fan, when I was saying watching the Jaguars win these games, it's like now I got to go watch the Broncos easily win a game. Even if Jaden Daniels starts, I just don't see any life of this team. I mean, the Broncos have such a good defense that they could still shut down Jaden pretty easily. And the Commanders have literally no offense, so it's probably going to end up making Bo Nix look like Joe Montana. So, coming off of a bye as well. So, they're well rested. They're trying to get the 1 seed. This is torture for me watching this as a Chiefs fan, but the Broncos are going to go into Washington and win this game pretty easily, 27-17. And then finally, a little Super Bowl rematch, Giants at Patriots. Now, Jameis Winston starting this game again. You know, I kind of want to see some frisky stuff happen in this game because the Patriots have been good, of course. They're the 1 seed, but, you know, I don't know. They weren't that impressive against the Bengals, so we'll see what happens. But it is pretty Jameis to come off of such a fun game and then throw 3 interceptions. So I would not be surprised if he has a down week, but it should be somewhat interesting. We'll see what happens. And I am going to pick the Patriots to win this game. I'm still more confident in their coaching and everything else. So I'm going to pick the Patriots to win this one 27-21. I'll make it a 1-score game. There you go. All right. Week 13 in the books. And, man, we are just hurtling towards December. I don't know how we're doing it. But, guys, if you are enjoying the season so far and all the content, don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below your bold prediction for Week 13. Have a happy Thanksgiving. Don't forget to follow us at First and Gold on Instagram and TikTok as well. We'll see you guys after the break for our next video. Goodbye.